while back I posted a video about taking this beaver dam out. And as most of you knew, it's not that simple. I've taken this dam out about 15 times, and over a couple days the beaver comes back. He rebuilds it. Now, I go down here looking for him a lot, and you know, usually a beaver is pretty visible in the morning and evenings. I have never spotted this phantom beaver, but I still think it's an old, big beaver working here by himself, going by the tracks and the amount of, you know, the stuff I see chewed up and the size of his teeth of what he's eating here. So I've decided if I can't beat him, I'm going to join him, because we've got this problem. It's really dry here in northern Illinois right now, with drought conditions, and all these sloughs that we have, a good wildlife habitat, are drying up. Well, the big slough this beaver has dammed up. Because of this, it's maintained a nice water level for the habitat. So I've decided, well, let's work together. See if we can do a compromise. That's where this tubing comes in. I got some other PVC piping, and what I'm hoping to do is put this piping in here just under his dam level. The intake should be out there. It'll flow up out of sight and then drain down below. Now, the beaver's pretty smart, but I don't think he's going to catch on that his leak is way out there. He'll hear water gurgling, and that may really mess up his mind a little bit, but he'll have to deal with it, because this way, if I put this piping in right, unless we get a lot of rain, I think enough water will flow by that no matter how high he builds this dam, we're going to maintain this water level that is just right for us. We can still use this area down here. We can get across the crossings. The wildlife will have plenty. Those big turtles over there, they can swim around. And, well, one thing they live on in the summertime is when the water's deep enough, they can be down below, and when the little ducklings come by, unfortunately, they just kind of pluck them out of the water. So you'll see a duck family, and it might shrink by one a day till they get big enough to figure out what's going on. So. Anyway, for just the sake of the whole ecosystem, we're going to try this compromise. So I'm going to dig in here now, and I got a general plan. I've never done this before, but I think we can make something work. When I initially broke out the dam, I threw everything downstream, and I let all the water rush over and take it all the way so he wouldn't have the wood to rebuild with. But as I pulled these smaller dams out, I haven't been able to get it flushed away like that, so I've been pitching the bigger wood here in this pile. And that's not a beaver house, that's just all the sticks and things that over those 15 or 20 times I've dug this out over the last month. That's the accumulation. I'm not going to take the dam out this time, but I am getting some of this bigger wood out of the backside. While I work with my tubing here, I can lay it in, do a good job, and then he can come along later and put some mud over the top. I don't care. I don't know where he's getting some of this stuff. think that'll allow me to see what I can do here with this. Well, this is the general idea. Put 2 or 3 of these in and see what happens. I was doing a quick review on that first video clip, and my pipe down here started doing a bunch of gurgling and air bubbles were coming out. And I think what's happened is suddenly it's not just a drain pipe, but now we've turned into a siphon. And so I think we've got now I got too much water coming, but if I just prop up the inlet pipe out there to a level, then I won't siphon the whole pond out. This would really drive that beaver nuts. So far I like what I see. Might have to tweak that inlet, get that. Well, I don't know what the beaver will do, if he'll figure out where the water's going into that tube or not. But if he does, I'll stretch it out further out in the water. But this ought to work for now. I got a few more pieces of PVC I might fit in along the edges as kind of an overflow thing. Going back for the PVC pipe sections, and I realized I had the sledgehammer, a few steel posts in the vehicle, so I will make this a little better. The goal here is to stay dry. Now if I get a little wire, I can get those tubes right to the proper height I want. So pull down so far, they'll stop siphoning. Then they'll just flow. But the way I see it, if the water's rise enough, the dam gets built up, we get some rains. When it gets up so much, then I've got a 2-speed pipe here, because when the siphoning action kicks in, the gravity pulling that water down that slope takes a lot more water through at the same time. So didn't know I was putting in a 2-speed water control structure today, but I'll take it. Got this nice long drain pipe. I think I'll sneak it in along the edge here. I have to stake it down a little bit, but I think it'll work. It'll only flow when the water level's up higher. Oh, so that gives me 3 speeds of water dispensing. Well, no matter what, it's been a lot of fun. Never thought I'd have a siphon coming out of there. Look at that. I think I got it set up just to a certain point. The siphon will stop. Just got to see what the beaver's going to do about all this flowing water on the downstream side. Might be beyond his mental capabilities. We'll see. They're pretty resourceful. The game might not be over yet, but I do have my water control structure. This spot in the slough is where we normally drive across. And I'm just checking it out because at the water levels right now, it looks like we're just about right. I can go across in my boots, which means any vehicle we drive across. So I think by the time those tubes draw the water down a couple inches, we're going to be at the ideal height to make everybody happy. We can access all the land on the other side of this water. The farmers a little bit to the west. They won't have their field flooded out. The beaver's got plenty of water to be in, and all the birds and turtles and everything else is going to have all that water for habitat rather than have it drain out in these dry periods. This is why I thought it was so important to use that beaver dam as a water control structure, because this is another of our big sloughs down in these river bottoms, and you can see that as the water table is dropping, as I mentioned, it's been really dry. Well, there's been a drought in a lot of the USA, and northern Illinois isn't as bad as many, but we're dry. And so these sloughs are drying up, and any birds out there that you can use it for nesting, or makes a nice mud flat, but most of those kind of birds have already migrated further north. This bird is called the solitary sandpiper. And yes, it usually is solitary. Some birds are named to make it easier. This bird is called a greater yellowlegs. It just, as that habitat disappears, it puts everything into a bind until that nice slough we just left with all that water. You can see how much better that is than what we have left here. That little dam that we were working on, it backs water up into a big, long, horseshoe-shaped slough. Right now we're standing at the far end, the far tip of that slough where it finally goes to dry land. Probably almost, if we follow the water around the horseshoe, it would be about a mile to our little dam. So you can see how with the varied widths and depths of the slough, all the different wildlife habitat that is here. We go through some cattails, and there's other places that are river rush, and it narrows a little bit, and other places it's wide, expansive bodies of water in this big horseshoe slough. I might just end by saying I use this word slough, and many have wondered about that, but here in the Midwestern United States, it's spelled S-L-O-U-G-H, and it's a word that we use for these old river channels that still hold water. So with that, I'll be able to continue coming here and here on my little bench and enjoy the wildlife abounding on this waterway.